Hey guys, how you doing today? We're gonna go out in the shop and what are you doing here? I didn't want to miss this. I guess we're gonna go out in the shop and see what's going on. Alright guys, so I had to make my new throttle cable. I cut the old one apart just so I could slide the housing off of the inner cable, and took another cable I had. I stole all the parts, the adjuster. I've got that taped up like that just to keep that little piece from getting lost. Cut my links to fit with it on the machine, and then I tried to solder a new ball on there to catch that carburetor slide. And I did a test piece and it worked out fine. And then I went to do the actual cable and I tried it like 4 times. I could not get it to freaking solder. So, you know, what's a guy gonna do? So I was getting ready to go to bed last night and I was thinking, weld that sucker. So here's a test piece. And it seemed to work. So that's just a test piece. So I went with it, put it together, and welded me a ball on the end there. Now I pulled on it with pliers and my fingers and everything else, and it seems to be like it's going to work. So I'm going to give it a go. I know you're going to say, you're doing it wrong. Well, we'll see. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. However, I did ruin one cable. I was welding it and it cut in 2, melted in 2, and it was too short then. So this is the second cable I've used to do this. Anyway, just saying. Alright, there she is, boys. Finally got that throttle done. You can see the adjusters right there. Cable comes up. I know you're probably going, you're doing it wrong. That's supposed to have a thumb throttle on it. Well, who said? I just like to do things a little different. So, here we are down at the carburetor. You can see it's run pretty good. I made it a little bit long. I don't know why. I guess so I'd make sure it fit these handlebars. But anyway, there it is. Alright. So, fuel tank, plumb up the gas lines, put the breather box back in, and a battery, and fire this thing up. This line right here comes off the top of the fuel pump, is a vent line, so that when your carburetor gets full and quits receiving fuel, that does not shut off. So this feeds it, is my understanding, back up into the gas tank. So it keeps circulating that gas and the pump just doesn't sit there and get hot. Now I asked a guy who has one of these, and he said the extra line off the carby, which he's from Australia, and they always say carby, you know. He said it goes to the fuel tank. Now, this carburetor doesn't have one. However, this carburetor is also different than what it shows in the manual. I don't know if somebody else put this on there or they just used different ones and they didn't tell anybody. So this has got a manual choke on it. Anyway, we'll see. Alright, we're working on the gas tank for a moment. After doing all that ugly crack repair. And somebody did have the thought to put a vent in it, which is actually where the overflow from the carburetor is supposed to go back into the tank. But if it had had an actual vent in it, it probably would have never built up pressure and cracked out like it did. So anyway, I've drilled a hole in it there, tapped it with 1/8 inch NPT pipe. I have obtained a small plastic elbow and put thread tape on it. And we're just going to screw that in there. And that will give a place for my overflow to go without obstructing that minute little vent thing that's there. And in my mind, the only reason I see that this should leak is if it gets sloshing too hard. I may take some hot glue and put around that just to make sure it can't. Anyway, that's what I've done there. And yeah, it doesn't look real pretty, but it's gonna work. It's not about what you look like, it's about how you go. So alright, that's what that is. And we're getting close. We're getting close.